my turn. This is the Family Showdown!
Howdy folks, today we are presenting our top 10 games for 6 or more players. Now we have a lot of games that play 6 or more players in our collection, but we have not played them all with 6 or more players. So we're only presenting today our top 10 games that we've actually played with 6 or more players.
And had fun with.
Well, yeah, they gotta be good.
I should hope.
You wanna start us off?
I will. My number 10 is Fauna. And this one's fun with a group because what you're doing in this game is you're trying to guess where an animal lives on the... You have a little map of the world, and you get to put cubes down, and if you get it right or you're next to the countries where they reside, you get points, and you also put little cubes down for their weight or length and different things like that. And it's much more fun with more players, I think, in that game, because then you might get locked out of your spot, so you got to really pay attention to what everybody's thinking, and if you know the animal, you want to get the ones that you're really sure of down first, because you only get to place one cube at a time.
Yeah, and what I like about that game is it's one of those trivia games where you don't have to always be exactly right. Yeah. So if you get next to the location or points. Next to the size that it is, you still get some points. So it's kind of a... you don't have to be perfectly accurate to get points in this game. I like games like that.
Yep.
All right, my number 10 is Incan Gold. Incan Gold is a great pressure luck game where you're going out into a cave and you're exploring it and you're trying to collect gems. But if you stay in the cave too long, the baddies get you and you don't get any gems. So you got to kind of judge how long you want to stay in and when you want to leave to get points. So it's truly a pressure luck game. And in that game, I press my luck until my luck runs out.
More often than not, which is part of the entertainment value for that. I find that game is really popular with both families and gamers, and it's a great introductory game because of that Indiana Jones feel to it. You know, do I want to keep going and try to get more gems? As a matter of fact, I like this one so much, it's my number 9. It was a huge shock.
Look at that.
But I really do enjoy that game. It's really fun, and it's a total press your luck, and there's just so much opportunity for banter and smack talk and just fun. So
yeah, it's a good game with a lot of players, definitely.
Yeah. Incan Gold. So what's your number 9 then?
My number 9. Where's my number 9? My number 9 is Camel Up. Camel Up is a great game where you're bidding on a camel race, and it's kind of random, wacky, crazy fun. But again, a lot of games with a lot of players are that way. So, yep. But you can use a little. I mean, there is some strategy there where you can kind of judge, and you can actually use a little bit of probability and things like that to kind of weigh where the camels are going to end up. Just a great little fun lightweight racing game.
Yeah, that one is a lot of fun, and just when you think you might know how things are going to go, just that one dice roll will change the entire surface of the race, and you're going to figure out, oh, you know what, I was betting on that guy to win, not so much anymore. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's kind of a reverse race game, right? Because you're not really racing the camels, you're betting on how the camels are going to do within the race. Yeah. So it's kind of more of a betting game than a race game.
That is a good one. All right, my number 8 is One Night Ultimate Werewolf. This is the more the merrier kind of game, because with this one, as opposed to the traditional werewolf, you're only going to have that one night, so chaos ensues, and the more characters you can throw into that, I think the better. As long as you take that, it doesn't have that same feel as werewolf, because you're not going to spend as much time deliberating and things like that, because there's just so much randomness added to One Night Ultimate Werewolf. But that is part of the party atmosphere and the fun, and with that, more people equals more fun.
Yeah, this one, what I like about it in a way is that this, unlike Werewolf, where it's more it's total just deduction. You're kind of going off how people.
I heard you move.
or you're judging how people are acting and their emotions and things like that. This one's more of a deduction thing. It's like, well, I was this role, so I did this. What was your role? And it's kind of a
switch.
It's kind of it's a completely different feel to it, and it's so fast and it's really interactive. That's a good one. I like that one.
Yep.
So
number 8.
My number 8, along the same lines, but a much beefier game, The Resistance. The Resistance is another. It's very much like that. It's a hidden role game where you send people around the table out on missions, and they can either vote the mission to be successful or not, and from that you can kind of deduce who the bad guys are. And it's one of those true poker face acting hidden role games. And I really enjoy those because just when you think you have it all figured out, right at the end, everything blows up in your face, and it's hilarious. So I really like that game for that reason.
The Resistance, yeah, that one is definitely a more the merrier kind of game, too, because the more people you have in it, the more that your suspicions will get aroused, because you're trying to figure out who on earth and how many traitors there could be, too. So that's a fun one. My number 7 is Cash and Guns, 2nd edition, and another more the merrier kind of game, and this one's always a hit because it's just you turn against your neighbor, turn against whoever. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. You can decide to shoot somebody so that you can get the loot, and it's always a hilarious game. It's great with family and gamers. Another one of those that hits on all fronts. So I really like that
any
one.
game where you point foam guns at each other, it's got to be fun, right?
Yep, exactly.
So moving on.
Number 7.
My number 7 is Wits and Wagers. It's along the lines of Fauna. It's one of those trivia games where you don't have to be exact. You kind of gotta judge who might know the answer and bet on what their answer is. It's just a great little fun party atmosphere game where you ask a trivia question, everyone writes a guess on a board, and you put the boards down in order, and then you bet on who got the right answer, which one you think is the right answer, and you win based on your bet. And the goal is after, I think it's 6 questions, whoever accumulates
7.
the most, is it 7?
Yep.
Whoever accumulates the most money wins the game. So it's a combo trivia, betting, guessing who knows the answer to the question kind of trivia game.
More on that later.
What?
Yes, you heard me. My number 6 is Jamaica. And while I do enjoy playing this 2-player, sometimes you can play most of that game without any interaction at all if you plan it out appropriately. But with more players, you are definitely going to have some pirate battles, and the pirate battles are hilarious. And you're throwing extra cannon into it, but somebody rolls that dice roll that just negates all of that because they have an instant win, and there's treasure being swapped back and forth, and people running out of food and going backwards, and there's all sorts of fun things going on with that game, and it's another one that it's great to play with a full amount of players.
Yeah, it's basically a racing game, but you can choose to forge ahead and finish quickly, or you can choose to accumulate a lot of wealth and items and things and take your time. And that's the problem with the 2-player is if you do an opposite strategy, one person's way out in the lead and you don't see them. But with 6 players, you're
going to interact with
all the
someone.
time. And basically the way it works, if you land on the same spot, you fight each other. And so in the 2-player game, you don't have very many fights. But in a 6-player game, every round has at least 1 or 2 fights. So it's really fun pirate themed racing game.
Yes, very good one. Your number 6.
6. My number 6 is Coup. Seemed to be a theme to my 6 players. A lot of hidden role type of game. So Coup is another hidden role game, but this one, unlike Resistance, is more on the quick side. It kind of it goes really quickly, and basically what it is you have hidden roles, and you can take actions based on your roles, but you can pretend to be whatever role you want. You can take whatever action you want, but you have to make the other players believe that you're that role, because they can call you out. If they call you out and you're actually that role, then bad things happen. So it's a fun little bluffing, hidden role kind of game, and it does have player elimination, but the game cycles so quickly that that's not too much of a downfall. And it's even if you get eliminated, it's still fun to see.
Oh, it's really fun to watch that, even if you get eliminated, and you still have 2 characters, so it takes you a while to get fully eliminated anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's a really fun game. In fact, I'm not really sure how I missed that one on my list, because that would be in my top 10 as well. That's a super fun game.
All right, so now number 6 is Coup.
All right. My number 5 kind of takes a different turn from a lot of the games that we've had, and that is Deeks. And that game is really fun because you've got these cards that have really weird, trippy artwork on them, but they're really brightly colored, and they have lots of different things on them. And you get your own hand, and from those you can say a word or a phrase or a whole story, whatever you decide. And people from that have to pick a card from their hand that they think someone would probably vote for that would go along with that story. So it's almost like apples to apples, but with art. And you can do so much more with this, and I think it's fun because you can play off of... It's another one of those where you want most everyone to vote for you, but not everyone, because if everyone picks it, then it was too obvious and you don't get the points, but everyone else gets the points. So sometimes it's great to tell that story that only that one friend of yours knows, or make some obscure reference that only your spouse knows, or something weird.
Right.
And so that one's a lot of fun to play with a lot of people.
Yeah, I really like Dixit. I actually prefer probably Mysterium over Dixit, because I think Mysterium's kind of Dixit 2.0. It takes that Dixit mechanism and takes it to another level and makes an entire more robust game. But we haven't played Mysterium 6 players, so it's not on my list.
To me, those are two different games, though, because the Deeks has more of almost a party atmosphere to it. Mysterium, to me, has that it's quiet and you're trying to think through, okay, what on earth, what are they trying to reference? Because the head player that picked the cards can't talk. And with Deeks, everybody's talking and exchanging, trying to guess, the story and this and that, or throwing down their cards and talking about it. I don't know. You're talking at different times.
No, I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying I prefer Mysterium over Dixit.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because we played Deeks so much, we actually added extra characters into our games.
Yeah,
we have more people play it.
10 players? I think we built it up to play 10 players, which is crazy.
Yeah. So Mysterium. That would be good to try. We need to try that one soon with that.
All right, so my number 5?
Number 5.
My number 5 was already mentioned. Cash and guns. Like I said, who doesn't like pointing foam guns at your friends?
Yeah.
It's just a really fun, just a hilarious party game where, it's just...
You're criminals and you're splitting your loot after the heist.
It's just funny. I don't know. Just to see people's faces when you point the gun at them. Like, oh, me! So anyways, that's my number 5. We already talked about it. Cash and guns.
That is a good one. My number 4, I think I've mentioned before in some other list, but I really love Saboteur. And this one is another one where you've got hidden roles. So somebody is a traitor in your midst, and you're trying to dig this mine to the treasure. Well, you can look at the map cards. There's 3 different destinations that you're trying to aim for. One of them is the correct one, but the other 2 are duds. And so people are looking to see what they are, but they can't tell you exactly, or they can. They could lie about it.
But they can lie about it.
So you're trying to figure out if they're telling the truth or not, and people can break your tunnels or break your equipment or change directions from the dig, and so everybody's accusing everyone else, and it's just, every time we've played that with a large group, it has been extremely hilarious. So
yeah,
it's
a good one. I like, what I find interesting about it is whoever the traitor, they have to make a choice at when to kind of reveal themselves, because they can play along for a little while. They don't want to reveal too early, because if they reveal too early, everyone just busts their equipment and not let them do anything. So you got to kind of play along, and then every once in a while kind of mix things up a little bit and go, oh, that's the only card I had. Oh, sorry. And eventually you're just breaking all their. You're doing all that you can to mess the other players up. So it's really cool. It's a really interesting hidden role game. Yep. It's a good one.
Yep. And that's my number 4.
Saboteur. My number 4. Till recently, it was one of my favorite games, but now I don't know so much. That game is Pitch Car. Pitch Car is a great little racing game where you're flicking discs around a track, and that's pretty much the gist of it. The reason I kind of lower on this is that we recently competed in the Pitch Car World Championships.
We did. At Dice Tower Con.
And I finished last.
Dead last.
Pitch Car, my number 4.
You failed to mention the other fact about the...
Oh, the fact that you finished 3rd in the World Championships? Yes, I failed to mention that part.
Yeah.
What's your number 3?
My number...
I jest.
Yes, actually we had a blast doing that. It was an awesome game. Totally unexpected. Yeah, I can't really comment anymore on your game. My number 3 is Spyfall. I love playing that game with a lot of people. We love to play it, especially with the roles. So not only do you have the destination, but you have the roles, especially when you're playing with people that like to get into the roles and really ham it up. We enjoy doing those, and it makes it all the more exciting for the poor spy. He's trying to figure out where they are, what is going on, and hilarity ensues every time we play that game.
Yeah, that it's just a great. I guess it's a hidden role game. I guess there's one person. There's one person that doesn't know, like I said, doesn't know where everyone is, and it's just so funny because if you're playing the spy, you're like listening, like trying to figure out where everyone is, and everyone's answering these obscure answers. It's just a really fun, light. Hidden game. I mean,
very goofy.
But you could play this on 2 levels. You could play it just straight up, or you can actually, like she said, play the roles. And that's my favorite part of it is taking on the role. You get a character card, and let's say it says you're at the hotel. You might be like the maid, or you might be the receptionist, or whatever at the front desk, or you could be a janitor. I mean, how when people ask your questions, you're going to answer the questions a little differently based on your role, and it can make it a little harder to answer the question. So it may give the spy a little more information, or it may completely confuse the spy as well. So
that may also confused your people too. That they're like, wait a minute, you must be a traitor because you answered that very strangely. But
yeah, so that's a good one, Spyfall. So that was your number 3?
Yeah, in fact, that's probably my favorite social deduction game because of that, because it's so much about the hamming it up and everything. Because some of the others, I'm not necessarily very good at the social deduction games. Yeah. So after a while, I get kind of tired of them. And this one, you get to ham it up and be goofy, so it's not as, I don't know. There's something lighter about it that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. So my number 3?
Number 3.
My number 3 will not be on her list because she has not played this game yet, but I played it, and I loved it. And that was Murder Deception in Hong Kong.
Someday.
It's just another, again, it's kind of along the lines of Mysterium. It's a hidden traitor game. One person is the murderer, and the forensic scientist knows who the murderer is, and they're trying to give clues, but they have to give clues based on cards that they have. So they might say like what the location was, and what was it a violent crime or was it not, and things like that. And based on those very obscure clues, people have like the murder weapon and like something that was left behind at the crime in front of them. And the murderer picks 2 of those, and then the forensic scientist has to clue all the other players in onto what those 2 items are. But the clues they give are like not very specific, so you kind of, and a lot of the items are very similar. So if you say it was violent, there could be a gun and a knife and things like that. So violent doesn't really narrow it down. It narrows it down a little bit, but not a lot. So it's really, and then meanwhile the murderer is trying to get people off, try to get people to go to different places on the board. It's like, oh, no, look over here, things like that. But he didn't want to be too obvious because then it'll point suspicion at you. So it's just a fun kind of a twist on the hidden role game. It kind of almost has almost a Mysterium feel to it in a way, because there's the one person that's giving clues that can't speak and can't do anything except put their little tokens on the hints. And so it's just a really fun game. When I played it, I was the murderer, and it was I don't know if it'd be as fun, but being the murderer was just a blast trying to get people to point other ways. And eventually they figured out it was me, but they couldn't figure out which of the 2 items was mine, and it was just hilarious. So it came down to like the last guess, and they got it wrong. So it was just a blast. We played this at where was we played Dice? No, at BGG Con.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just a really cool hidden role game.
I was about to ask you, just from the way you described it, it sounded a little Mysterium-esque.
It is very much like Mysterium.
But very active.
Yeah.
An active version.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. All right. Wow. Yeah, you make me want to play that more now. My number 2 is probably your number 1, but I won't spoil anything officially. You never know. But my number 2 is Pit, and this is another one of those the more the merrier kinds of games. This is old, 1903, and it's still super classic, awesome game in our house. And it's just a really easy game. You're just basic set collection, but you're trading with people by shouting out how many number cards you want to trade. You don't tell them what kind of goods you have or anything. So I'm just shouting 2, but before you know it, everybody's shoving cards in each other's face and screaming and trying to trade at the speed of light, and every time it just gets hilarious. Everybody's laughing about it, and when you're done, whoever's the first to collect has to race over and ring the bell. So, very fun game.
Contrary to your suspicions, my number 2 is Pit, not my number 1.
What?
And the only reason I think this has dropped down on my list is that we haven't played this in like 4 or 5 years. 4 years?
Seems like it.
It's been forever.
It hasn't been that much, has it?
It's been Nessa was 1, so it's been almost 4 years since
I thought we've played it since then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look that up.
I don't think we have. But anyway, it's been forever. I haven't played it in forever. But anyway, Pit is laugh out loud, crazy, screaming, yelling. Again, this is one of those games that it really depends on your group, and our group just really gets into it and goes crazy and screams at each other, and it's just a lot of fun. It's just really, but when you get done, you're like,
I'm tired.
I mean, it's just crazy, and it's just I don't know. I think it's a really fun.
This is a good game to get energy out because we've never sat down to play this game. You can't sit and play this game.
Yeah, it just. I don't know. It just seems like it's one of those games that it is what you put into it, right?
Well, yeah, and it's fun in its simplicity.
That's why. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's so simple. I mean, you can teach it in 2 minutes how to play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a super easy game. My number 2 and your number 2.
I know. Check that out. How cool is that? So, my number 1 might surprise you a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. And that
probably
is Wits and Wagers. I really I really enjoy that. This is one of those that it's almost not a game with less, I think, than 6 players. This is such, that's why it's number 1. This shines with the larger number. In fact, the larger the merrier. The more the merrier. This is one that at Dice Tower Con they make it into a ginormous game show, and we're probably with 100 or more people.
Yeah, I think they had 10 teams of.
No, it was
12?
like 13 teams.
Yeah, it was like 100. It was 100 to 150 people played it.
Yeah, a huge group, and it worked, and it was fun, and it's crazy fun, and it's just fun with a lot of people because, like you said, you've got the board, and you don't have to know the answers to the trivia. That's the best part. You just have to take a stab at it, and then everybody else is doing the same thing, and then you're placing bets on who you think's closest to the right answer.
Right.
So no one necessarily has to know the right answer, although you get bonus points if you do.
Right.
And so everybody's placing bets on that, and again, it's just really a fun, light game going through 7 questions. It doesn't even last that long. It could take as long or short as you want to go. It just depends on how much you guys like to chat and banter in between and all of that. There's a timer in the game. We've rarely used it. Yeah. You just don't need to usually. So.
Yeah, one of the things I like about it is that based on the question, you can kind of judge who at the table might know the answer. It's like,
what's your area?
It's a sports question, so this person might know it, or it's a literature question, this person might know it better. And and like I said, you put them in order so you play the gaps. So if there's big gaps, you might want to put it in those areas. There's a lot of discussion that goes around it, and after the answer's revealed, you're like, what? And then there's another whole round of discussion about the answer. Yep. How shocking it is, because it's usually very obscure and unexpected.
Yes, that's part of the fun. So that was my number 1, Wits and Wagers.
So what's my number 1?
I feel like I should know, too.
You should.
I know.
Come on. My number 1 is Spyfall.
Oh, you hadn't mentioned it yet. Yeah.
No, I have not mentioned it yet because it is my number 1.
There you go.
This is quickly rocketing up my list of favorite games just because it just does what I like in a game. It's interactive. It's fun. You get to act, you get to play. It has the hidden role where you're all nervous and trying to figure out what's going on. It condenses it down into a very simple game where all you do is ask people questions. You can ask people anything you want, but you have to answer it in such a way that if you know where you are, you don't want to give it away to the spy. Or if you're the spy, you have to answer it in such a way that you're not obvious that you're the spy. You have to be kind of generic and hope a little bit that you fit where you are. So it's just a really great, easy, hidden role game that is just fun to play. So that is our top 10 games for 6 or more players that we've actually played. Tell us what your favorite games are for a large group down in the comments. And if you like our stuff, please
subscribe.
Bye.